Finally, the intro is not so long for that one either.
Yeah. So anyway, we're live.
Yay! We really are live this time. You're not living that down for a while. I'm one of those people that, once I see something to roast about, but you've seen me go in on stools, so
Yeah.
no one is safe. Think of me like a Trey Parker and Matt Stone of South Park fame, equal
Yeah.
opportunity roaster.
Yeah.
That's why nobody
Exactly.
can stay mad at me, because they know I'll just go in on somebody else tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, what shit is there to shoot? That is the question that we're not already covering tomorrow.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
well I don't know actually. But I do have an announcement to make.
yeah, I mean, we've got a pretty detailed list going for tomorrow from what I've seen. I'm going to be spending my shift reading over the articles, because there ain't jack shit else to do other than, I clean my coffee pots, I check anybody in that's due to check in, and other than that, there's really nothing to do. I get paid to do nothing.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I do when it's time to do it, so nobody cares if I'm sitting on my phone reading articles.
Yeah. I had a job like that once, a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a lot different working hospitality in the time of COVID. I mean, it was always crazy. That's one thing that I learned fairly quickly, because I started working where I work now in August of 2019. And
Okay.
pretty quickly I learned that it was always something, especially because I wouldn't say my hotel's near a bad area, but I would at the same time. I don't know if you're all that familiar with dangerous areas of the US, but we're not by we're not by a high crime area per se, but it's definitely not somewhere that I would want to walk down the street by myself.
We live in a dangerous area.
Well, yeah, we live in a dangerous area, but I live in Northeast Philadelphia, but Trenton's not as bad.
Okay.
But I mean, there's always something, especially when you deal with the babicias. That's the new euphemism for locals or jerks in the lovely hotel I work at, because we had an incident where my boss got a tick-borne illness called babesiosis, and it comes from a babesia something or other pathogen. So we just kind of ran with it. So now if I text my boss and say, I've got this babesia who won't put a mask on, or I've got this babesia that wants to extend, and I smelled pot out of their room last night,
Okay.
it's known what's meant. But it's a funny word if you think about it. A lot of words, actually, if you think about it, are actually kind of funny when they roll off your tongue.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was in a job years ago in an office.
Yeah.
And I was the IT guy.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen the IT crowd.
I mean, I've never heard of. I mean, I know there was an IT department when I worked an office job for a state government, but is that like a show or something, or?
Yeah, the IT crowd is a comedy, where the one of the main
characters.
It's kind of like The Office, yeah, but
that explains why I wouldn't have seen it.
They're the IT support team, basically. And basically, one of the main characters, the first thing he says when he answers the phone is, "Have you tried turning it on and have you tried turning it off and on again?"
It's honestly a surprisingly universal fix for a lot of problems, though. I mean, not all, but okay. So you worked in an IT department, so I have to ask: did anyone ever?
I was the IT department.
Okay, so I have to ask: did anyone ever piss you off enough to enact some sort of IT-related revenge? Because I've always heard that rule number 1 in an office environment is don't piss off IT because they will fuck you and fuck you hard.
I was tempted to do that a lot of times.
Oh, but you never gave in.
No, I never did. I was too nice. But
I get that vibe off you. We got to toughen you up a little.
yes, yeah. There was. I mean, there was one time when I was tested. A lady phoned me up.
Oh,
she-
okay. So a Karen. All right.
Yeah, yeah. I guess yeah. I guess you'd call them you could call her a Karen. She said, "My printer doesn't seem to be working," and I said, "Are you sure it's plugged in?" And she said, "What do you take me for? Do you take me for an idiot? I'm not stupid. I wasn't born yesterday. Of course, my printer's plugged in."
It wasn't plugged in, was it?
No.
I knew it. That is the stereotype definition of a Karen.
Yes.
That's exactly what a Karen would say, and that's exactly how that would end.
Yeah. And so, yeah, my job was, was doing, sorting out, helping out Karens, basically. But it was providing the IT support for the office, basically. But what happened was, all the IT support got centralized to a help desk in Newcastle, which is about 7 or 8 miles, 7 or 8 hour drive away from where the office actually is.
Oh, wonderful. Kind of like how a lot of IT is outsourced to the other side of the world here.
Yeah. And so I didn't have anything to do. I was a glorified admin clerk, basically. And I'm
kind of like glorified security, so I can relate.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of the day sitting on my hands doing nothing.
Well, hey, at least you got paid to do it.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Based on your tone, I bet that pay was not enough to put up with half the bullshit you did, when there was any.
Yeah. And quite a few, shortly after that, there were quite a few redundancies.
Ooh.
So it wasn't a very happy atmosphere.
I had some real stupid ones when I used to run background checks for the state of New Jersey's rental assistance program. Because I live in Pennsylvania, but I'm actually a New Jersey native. This is actually the first time I've ever lived outside of New Jersey. So I had so I ran the background checks, but a process that I actually created on my own was because I had a couple instances. When I first started, we had one system for both the credit checks and criminal history. But one of the processes that this system went through was checking the social security number. And under the old system, there were a couple cases where the first person the social matched wasn't the person I was running a background check on. Now, with that, we couldn't really do much with it because there are plenty of cases where the reason the social matches somebody else is because a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, somebody made a typo somewhere. It happens plenty of times. So we couldn't do anything under the old system. But about halfway through my tenure there, we rolled out a new system for the criminal checks, and we had access to a lot of information just with the entry of a social security number. So I single-handedly devised the system for making sure people were who they said they were. And there were a couple times I would tell somebody, like, this social does not match this person. And I had one field office, because we have 21 counties in the state of New Jersey. And a couple of field offices managed more than one county because there was no need for one field office for each county because of the low number of applicants in certain ones, lower populations, what have you. So I had a couple times they asked me, okay, so the social matches the person. What do we do? And I'm like, so the social doesn't match the person and you don't know what to do and you're all old enough to be my parent. That bothers me. So I basically had to hold their hands and be like, you call the applicant, you tell them what the problem is, and you ask for verification of the social security number. You can request a card, or you can even accept a letter from the Social Security Administration if it's a case of a lost card or somebody never got their card for some reason. It's any verification straight from the Social Security Administration handed to you by the applicant. It is not that hard a problem to solve. Why am I having to tell you this? So I caught field offices lying about not getting messages because I started requesting delivery and read receipts, and I had a fun time getting their regional office supervisor involved. I mean, you learn quickly in government administration that there's a special class of idiot. But working in hospitality, I'd say I've dealt with more bullshit than I ever did in any other line of work, customer facing or not. I mean, my God, I literally survived a murder attempt at my current job, so that was fun. But I don't think I could see myself doing IT. I'd get too angry and I'd wipe somebody's hard drive. Somebody would piss me off and I'd just wipe their shit. And I commend you for never doing that. So what else goes on across the pond? Anything fun? Just seems like there's idiots in any line of work. The real question is anybody else going to come join us? Because we can't hold this forever.
Oh.
We could spice it up, let's have, but no, what else goes on across the pond other than, anything interesting going on over there?
Senti the same as this thing.
Oh, someone wants to hear more about the murder attempt. Okay. Buckle up and grab your popcorn. The story of Sonny Neese and the murder attempt. Okay. So, I don't know where you are, but I mean, I don't know how it works in other parts of the world, but here in the good old US of A, or at least in most hotels, I don't know if you're familiar with, hi MathPick, I don't know if anyone's familiar with third-party booking sites such as Priceline, Expedia. The main ones that do it the way that I'm saying are there's Priceline and Expedia, Hotwire, Agoda services. I don't know the full list, but those are just a few. The way those particular ones work is when you book through those sites, if anyone's ever heard of a Green Dot or a NetSpend or other prepaid debit card, it's kind of like loading the booking site's prepaid debit card. You pay them and they act as the middleman who pays us. So one of the downsides of that is that reservations made through third-party booking sites, and even the ones where they give you the guest's personal credit card, is if you book online after midnight, it is not available for same-night check-in because the hotel's business day does not change until someone runs the night audit, which when I do the overnight, that is my job, and I run it at 4 a.m. So it has caused many instances of confusion. This was one of those cases. It was about 1:30 in the morning, and this lady shows up. She had booked on Priceline, and now when you do it through the third-party sites that use a virtual card, this is this is more common in those cases. If you alter any part of the reservation, like putting a note in is one thing, but you cannot change the check-in date or change the checkout date, or the site won't pay the hotel. And I had to explain that to this lady. I basically told her, you booked online after midnight. Your reservation is not available for immediate check-in. And if I were to try to alter it, I would not be able to, the hotel wouldn't get paid. I would get in a lot of trouble. I would likely lose my job. So I had to explain it to this woman twice because, locals be stupid. and I explained it to her. Now, I thought she left the property after that because I basically told her, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you. Because I think at that point, it was either we were sold out. No, we were sold out that night, or we didn't even have the kind of room that she needed. I forget what it was, but I couldn't have done anything for her. It would have cost her more money if I had checked her in as a walk-in anyway. She would have had to pay multiple. We charge a damage deposit at check-in. We would have needed a second one to check in the reservation she had originally made. It would have been a whole big clusterfuck, and it just would have ended in Karening and kvetching and all of that. So I basically told there's nothing I can do for you. Now, I thought she left the property. I thought. About 30 minutes passed. I go outside, minding my business for a smoke break, just thinking nothing of it. And outside, out front, in one of the allowed smoking areas, we have a bench, and it's visible right on security camera. This whole thing was actually caught right on the security footage. I was sitting on the bench, minding my business, and I see a car coming around the bend into the parking lot, and I thought nothing of it because we get a lot of corporate clients, we get work-related stays, and I thought maybe, this is somebody coming back from a night shift or a late shift, whatever, it's none of my business what people are doing. As long as they have their key and they're not breaking rules, I don't care what you do. So then the car comes around in my direction and then starts coming at me like they're going to run me over.
Oh.
And I look up and I see the same crazy bitch I had just turned away giving me a death glare. So I'm like, this bitch is really trying to run me over because I couldn't check her in. Are you fucking kidding me? The best part was I reported it to my boss the next morning when she relieved me. And I said, I didn't see a point calling the cops because the cops in that area, they don't do anything. They're useless. But the morning after, my boss was like, look, I talked it over with, she had talked it over with the general manager. She said, I really think about it. I really think we need to file a police report. So I said, okay. So we called the cops. The cops came and looked at the footage. They saw clearly what happened, and they refused to do anything. Oh. And my boss emailed the chief of police with clips from the footage. And the chief of police was talking shit to her, like, oh, your clerk didn't even drop her cigarette, da-da-da-da. It's like, okay, yeah, I didn't drop my cigarette because I'm at a stage in working here where things happen. And I'm like, oh, is this what we're doing today? But, yeah, I was scared for my life. You ever hear it's not just fight or flight, it's fight, flight, or freeze, you dumb shit?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Me being the petty bitch that I am, I emailed the fucking mayor.
Okay.
Complete with clips from the security footage. And I quoted the statute that defines simple assault in the state of Pennsylvania, which this more than met. And suddenly the police chief changes his tune to, oh, well, we did say something to the DA and he declined the charge. And I'm like, I don't know how true I think that is, but yeah. Someone can literally try to kill you and the police in the town where I work will not do anything. That's where we're at working in this hotel. Oh, I know. That's the thing, I can tell a layman about it and they're like, but someone tried to kill you and the cops wouldn't do anything? How are you so nonchalant about it? It's like, because I'm used to nothing happening with these cops.
Gordon Bennett.
It's like, these Republicans scream and yell about why we shouldn't defund the police. It's like, okay, why do the cops have all this military-style gear in little municipalities, no less? And half the time they don't even do their fucking jobs.
Yeah.
They can refuse to do anything about an attempted murder, but then I get pulled over and hassled because my right headlights bashed in from an accident. Okay, nice priorities.
Yeah.
I do hope the cops are a little more useful over on your side of the world.
Oh, I wish I could say yes, but
Uh-oh.
no, I mean, it depends. I suppose it depends where you live, but
Well,
in the
yeah,
country,
anywhere it varies from town to town, definitely.
yeah. I mean, I was brought up in the countryside,
Ah,
and the police are next to useless. Um, but I was doing my paper rounds. This is when this is when I was 12 years old.
okay.
12, 13, and well, it was still quite. It was dark out. It's early in the morning.
Yeah, our
And
paper routes get delivered to the hotel like 1 a.m. Yeah, paper routes usually are like wee hours in the morning.
yeah, and my rear light had just gone out. The battery had died, and this police car pulls me over, and the police.
Just to clarify, they pulled you over on a bike.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, they really must have been bored. Okay.
Yeah, and the copper got out of his car, and he gave me a long lecture about about the dangers of riding without lights, and he said, I'm gonna let you off. I'm gonna let you off this time, but next time I'm gonna have to take you into the station.
Over a busted light, they were gonna take you in.
Yeah.
Fuck that noise.
Yeah.
What wonderful priorities.
But to be fair, out in the sticks, they haven't got anything else to do.
Okay, that's true. I mean, I grew up in a small podunk town that is literally 1 square mile. And now granted, I realize you're all fancy in metric, so a mile is slightly less than a kilometer. So think of a town that is 1 square kilometer and shrink that a little bit. And there are 11 cops on the force for a town that is 1 square mile. They get very bored very easily. And we've had a couple of cops that they are these poster children for Napoleon complexes. There's one in particular, Sergeant Ben Miller. If you ever see this, fuck you, you little twat. And he really loves pulling my stepfather over for the dumbest possible shit.
Oh dear.
Now we're not sure where it comes from, but now you're familiar with Miller beer, yes? That's a thing for there?
It's Miller time.
That saying has a different meaning in my hometown.
Okay.
When someone refers to Miller time in my hometown in central New Jersey, it means that the little dickhead cop with the Napoleon complex and the superiority complex and just something to prove with his little stupid bald ass has decided you are the person to harass today. So there has been times where my mom has said things along the lines of, oh my God, I can't let him go out with this wrong with the car. I can't let him go out like this. It's going to be Miller time and all hell's going to break loose. There was one instance where this little shithead pulled my stepdad over, gave him a bullshit ticket, and then recommended something he could do when it went to court or whatever. And my parents went to court and they talked to the prosecutor. That's a thing that happens in traffic court in the United States. A lot of times you can talk to the prosecutor if you can't afford a lawyer or you don't see a need for one, and you can plead down to a lesser offense to not get, we have a point system for licenses depending on infractions. And my parents went in to talk to the prosecutor, and they said Sergeant Miller recommended this, this, and this. The prosecutor says, anything Sergeant Miller recommends, we don't do. They then knocked his offense down to something even lighter than they thought they were gonna, that they were gonna end up with. It was an even lighter fine. And then that's how we found out that even the courts don't like this cop, and that just vindicated everybody. You know you're a shitty, dirty little cop when the courts will, just to spite you, give somebody a lighter ticket and a lighter fine. And it also helps that the judge in that courthouse is very, he's very reasonable. And
we don't seem to have Signese. Her mic seems to be off.
It's ridiculous. Not even the courts like this cop. They hate him, and they'll just, okay, you want to give somebody some ridiculous offense with a ridiculous amount of points or a really high fine? Screw you, Miller. Nobody likes him. I don't understand anybody that does.
I've met a few people like that in my life. Yeah, unfortunately, that my uncle used to call people like that Nazis with social degrees.
Nazis with, I like that. That's something I might use. I mean, I like Babesia better, personally, because it just implies that their existence in and of itself is a disease. But that particular cop's definitely a Babesia. And I cannot believe, though, they threatened to take you in over a busted rear light on your bicycle. That is just, it's not shocking, though.
No. Some people, you put them in a uniform and they become little Napoleons.
Well, that's exactly what it is. Josh, what was it you said about cops that are assholes? That they either...
Most of them were bullied as kids.
Yeah, they were either bullied in school and they want revenge, or they were the bullies who want to continue their power trip.
Yeah.
Occasionally you get the decent cop that truly does take the meaning of protect and serve as actually like a literal thing. Like, hey, I'm here to help people and uphold the law. They don't usually last, which is sad. We need more of the decent cops. Like I lived in a little town in South Jersey. I lived in Hamilton when I was married. And in the state of New Jersey, they have the highest population of Italians. So, of course, I fit right in. And the cops there, I never had a negative experience with any of them. They were never anything but nice. When I left my ex-husband and pressed charges, they were ready to help. They were, like, caring and empathetic. You don't see that very much anymore. And I think there's a disconnect there. I think there's a misconception in the minds of a lot of white, like, the WASP Republican types who have never had a negative interaction with the police in their lives, so they don't know what minorities go through, what people in rough areas go through. And they think that all cops are like that because that's the only thing they've experienced. They can't wrap their heads around the idea that it's just not always the case.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's the best I can think of it's the best explanation that I can think of why they might think like that. Because I'm sorry, there's no need for small town municipal cops to have the kind of riot gear that they do in a lot of places. No small town cop needs a tank.
I don't really do that one.
Yeah, I can understand why many people say defund the police and all cops are bastards. I totally get it. Because especially if what you say, as you say, some of them are overly equipped, with firearms and and what have you. Then when they don't need to be, that money could go elsewhere. And going back to Napoleons in uniforms, it reminds this guy that I worked with, back in the office that I was telling you about before. He certainly had a Napoleon complex.
Did he have the lack of height to match it? Because I think part of what constitutes a Napoleon complex is being of diminutive stature, shall we say?
No, well, actually, he was tall. He was quite tall. He was taller than me.
By definition, I believe it cannot be considered a Napoleon complex because the saying was that Napoleon was short.
Wow, that is a fallacy. Actually,
it?
Yeah, he was actually at average height for his time.
I mean, I do know people were surprisingly shorter then than they are now, but I mean, I do know one of the very few things I retained from ninth grade history was it's my understanding that Charlemagne was actually quite imposing compared to most men his size. I think he was like 6'1", 6'2".
Charlemagne's a piece of shit.
We're not talking about the rapper.
Oh.
We're talking about an old time king.
Oh.
He's
a piece of shit, though.
Poor Josh with his poor Josh with only knowing his rap references. He doesn't understand. It's not his fault. He's only uninformed. He's a good boy.
But Napoleon, yes, he was short by today's standards, but for his time, he was average height. So but anyway, this security guard that I worked with, he was terrible.
So we're talking massive abuses of authority here, I assume.
Well, he thought he basically thought he owned the company.
Oh God, one of those.
But
those.
But on the other hand, he would do as little work as possible.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. You think you run shit, yet you don't do shit.
Yeah, I think I'll give you an example. Part of my the thing is, I was I worked in I was the IT support guy. But, I worked for a government building. I worked in a government building, a government department. Which is now known as Job Center Plus.
Oh, so you were like in the unemployment office?
Yeah.
Okay.
And part of my job was to if we received a threat of any kind,
like an actual threat or a cyber threat?
An actual threat. Like, for one time we we got some anthrax sent in the post.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we had to change the alert from black alert, which is normal, to amber alert.
Amber alert. That means something entirely different here.
Does it?
Yes. Amber alert is what they put out when a child is missing and is suspected to have been abducted.
Oh, right. Okay. But
okay, so that's an interesting. That's it today I learned. So
yeah.
So anthrax got mailed to the office, and okay, I'm invested now.
Yeah, we're to step up the alert to amber alert. So, that was supposed to be the security, part of the security guard's job. He had to, there's a plaque by the doorway, stating what alert the building was in.
Okay.
And it was his job to change the plaques over. So, well,
he didn't
supposedly
change it.
Anyway. I said, and it was my job to tell him that needed to happen.
Uh-huh.
It was a funny way, of doing things. But anyway, that's how things worked. And I said, we've had a threat. We've had anthrax sent to us. So I need you to change the plaque from black alert to amber alert.
Okay.
And he sucked airing through his teeth, like, oh, that's not in my remit.
Are you serious? Wasn't his job?
Yeah, that's not in my remit. That's literally
his job. Like changing the stuff. That's like a security thing. That, by definition, sounds like it would in fact be his job.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
I mean, yeah, common sense would dictate, I'd say.
No, that's not in my remit. You're gonna have to call out an engineer.
Well, then that bears the question. Okay, motherfucker, then what is in your remit?
He said, "You've got to call out an engineer." And I said, Look, I'm not calling out an engineer just to change the plaque over. Look, I'll do it. I said, no. The union will come down on you like a ton of bricks. So, we had a back and forth for about half an hour or so, and eventually he relented. Reluctantly, but it only took him 5 minutes to get it, to get the screwdriver out, unscrew the black plaque and screw up the amber one.
I cannot get over that. That's not in my. I can't get over it. It's still turning around in my head. Like, what kind of idiotic security guard says that an actual security threat is not his job?
Yes. Well,
that's just like, I do things that aren't my job all the fucking time. It's not that hard to occasionally step outside your job description, even if it wasn't part of your. Jesus Christ. I'm going to be mad about that for weeks. I'm going to be mad on your behalf for weeks.
Yeah. But
I mean, but that's, I mean, for God's sake.
Yeah.
It's like, see this poem?
I don't know. People were just over 4 foot all in Bible times, apart from Jesus, who was 6'4", blonde, blue eyes, white and ripped, Hollywood Jesus. Yeah, I know. Isn't that just so, what a wonderful justification to. Yeah, that's just totally proof that everything in the Bible is true, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The sad thing is, I don't entirely knock theism as a whole. I don't see anything wrong with following I don't see anything wrong with following a religious system per se, if you're doing it for the right reasons. And the thing is, if you're gonna follow a religious text, you should study the whole thing. I don't like the cherry picking bullshit. Like, actually, just today, someone sent me a screenshot. Milo Yiannopoulos or something like that. I don't know how the fuck you pronounce his name, nor do I care now that I've read this about him. He was claiming he's an ex-gay and he follows.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Oh, an ex-gay. How is that possible?
It's not. That's the thing. I don't like that pray the gay.
Means that at one point in his life he was curious, not gay. I don't understand what that would be.
He thinks he prayed the gay away, is what it is. And I don't like that shit though, because the way I look at it,
prayed the gay away.
It's not funny.
Probably
Milo. I can't pronounce his surname, but he's known as Milo. And
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And my thing is though, you can't pray the gay. You can't pray the gay away if you're born that way. Number one, and I love when people use the Bible to justify LGBT phobia, because it's like, okay, your God's about love, right? Oh yes, God loves everyone. Really, God loves everyone, and God doesn't make mistakes, right? Oh yeah, God is infallible. Okay, then by your own logic, doesn't that mean that God meant for there to be gay people and he loves them as they are? And then they short circuit. It's so funny to watch that. I love twisting people's own Bible banging against them. It's so great. You just feel so vindicated when they're sputtering and just they can't even form a response because they never thought of that.
A lot of them say that gays are the work of the devil, that they're not God's work. That's what a lot of them will say.
Well,
is that they're not the work of God, they're the work of the devil.
Okay, that's true, but it's like, okay, but the devil used to be an angel.
I know.
Which implies some redeeming qualities.
One argument that I used to hear, because I used to be a Christian, is that homosexuality only arose after the fall. After the fall, and after Adam and Eve's disobedience in the Garden of Eden, it disrupted the natural order of things. It wasn't God's original purpose for there to be homosexuality or love between the same gender or or other genders, but it happened because of sin. But
that's kind of like what Josh was saying, that it was the work of the devil, since the devil showed up in the Garden of Eden as the talking snake and all that other implausible bullshit.
Yeah.
So
you got to prove to us that Adam and Eve existed.
There was definitely a mitochondrial Eve, but that's all scientific in nature.
Yeah.
But that
anyway,
there was no Garden of Eden.
No.
Because it's my understanding that when it first formed, Earth was quite the hellscape.
Yeah.
So where the fuck? What kind of climate? That many millions, thousands, whatever years ago. What the hell climate would allow for that? None. You had fucking ice ages, continental drift, and really? People say they can pray autism away. I'd love to see someone try.
Yes.
Wow, man.
But going back to our friend Milo.
Shit, people can pray autism away? Oh my God!
Your sarcasm is while humor is in nature, your sarcasm is completely unnecessary in this case, because we all know that's bullshit.
Yes.
You're preaching to the choir, sir.
Yeah.
I never heard that one.
Honestly, neither did I, but I'm not shocked.
That prayer can cure autism. I never heard that one. That's new for me.
Honestly, I would think that would fall into the vein of having an autistic child exercise, which brings a whole other set of problems with it.
Yeah. But going back to Milo, he's basically having a wank in public. That's all he's doing. people have not been paying him attention. So he feels he has to say something outrageous in order to get the attention that he craves.
Oh, one of those. You know
Yeah.
what? That doesn't shock me either. It's like, well, Rush Limbaugh's not around to make everybody hate him. Let me just open my mouth.
Yeah.
It's
It's like Katie Hopkins.
You want to get another half ounce soon? If we can.
Yeah, that's fine. Trey just texted me. Sorry, we're discussing purchases of marijuana in the near future.
You when I said.
Yeah, but no, honestly, I can't believe some of the shit that people say can be prayed away. What's next? Are you going to say you can pray to change your skin color? It's like how much farther will the go away? I see you, stool. Go away. Josh is now stroking his beard to remind you that it does in fact exist. I'm just gonna mute my mic while you. So is this what we're doing today? Okay, but no, seriously, like I can't get over what people think the Bible cures. It's like I can't, like, I think the scariest is though the anti-medicine types, like, oh, just pray and it'll cure cancer. No, that's not how this works, because, if prayer cured terminal illness, Josh's mother would still be with us. Because she was, she wasn't overly religious. She didn't go to church or everything, but she did, she did have a spirituality to her. She did believe in God, and she did pray on a daily basis. So by that logic, it doesn't work that way.
No.
I do think, though, on the opposite extreme, though, don't get offended when, if you tell somebody who happens to be Christian or whatever, you're going through some shit, and they'll say you're in my prayers, like they're trying to say something nice for you. Don't get mad about that either.
Oh yeah, I mean, I because I was a Christian for a long time, and I used to believe in the power of prayer. I used to believe that praying was a way of asking someone, a higher power, to do something, that you were, that you couldn't do, that where you were powerless to do yourself. And as I was a Christian, I believe that higher power was Jesus. I really believed I was helping, by offering to pray for someone. So I don't get offended when people say that they will pray for me.
There are people who do, though. It's a shock.
I gave Mom this couple more.
But no, it's, there's like I was saying, there's, what, stool? We'll pray for your non-existent beard. Any whore. There's there is a line to be drawn, though. That's the thing. It's okay to believe in a higher power, and in some cases, I guess prayer can work similar to meditation. It can help center your mind if and it can kind of help you really look within yourself. It's like soul searching in a way, but it's just, there's a right way and a wrong way to go about it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't expect prayer to cure medical ailments, but you can, like, I do believe in the concept of what goes around comes around. Like, you could say I believe in karma or mojo or what have you. And I've seen a lot of examples where, when you put something out into the universe, it does come back. Like, I have noticed that people who put put that better karma out there, showing kindness to others and, just living all around, judging no one. If you're a good person, most of the time you come across good fortune. But I can't fully believe in that because there's still scumbags that roam the earth without consequence and coasting through life. Like my
Yeah.
ex-husband.
Mm.
Just, the obligatory fuck my ex-husband in any stream I'm on.
Yeah.
Fuck that bastard.
But yeah, I mean, but I in my experience, I came to the conclusion that prayer didn't work even before I gave up my faith altogether.
So did something in particular happen to push you to that conclusion, or was it just one that you slowly reached over time?
It was a gradual thing because
Okay.
I realized that people that that I prayed for in church, they would claim to be healed at the time, but then the following Sunday they'd be asking for prayer for the same thing, for the same ailment that they were asking for prayer for the previous week.
Yeah, that does put a damper on the concept, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also I prayed for myself. I've struggled with depression and anxiety for all my adult life, and
I have as well, almost from childhood. I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, there were times when I begged God to heal me, and nothing, and of course nothing happened. People would say, "Well, you haven't." People would tell, well-meaning, friends of mine would say, say to me, "Well, maybe you just don't have enough faith, or maybe there's some hidden
it's a reflection on you. That's not right. That's no way to be thinking of things.
No. Or maybe there's some hidden sin that you need to deal with."
Yeah,
which of course made me feel guilty. And it made me it made me feel even worse. But so eventually I came to the conclusion that prayer doesn't work.
Yeah, it's a shame though, really. And that just seems like, another example of just people being scum and slowly just disillusioning everyone. I know working customer facing jobs is the reason I have absolutely no faith in humanity.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you at this point? We're in a platinum age of stupid.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it didn't help that I would hear testimonies from people claiming that their prayer, that their prayers were answered.
So then it's like, okay, why are your prayers answered but not mine? What's wrong here? So again, it's it just makes you feel like it's a reflection on you when no, it's not you. It's just life sucks, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just really sucks. There are times when it's really good. But I've noticed that for most decent people, there's a pattern. You bump along, you think you've got shit together, and then something goes wrong. That's all it is. It's not a reflection on you. It doesn't mean you did something wrong. It doesn't mean you've got some internal moral failing. It's just shit sucks.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It ain't no reflection on you. Personally, the time that I've known you and agreeing to, I just kind of jumped on agreeing to co-hosting on the sofa with you and, getting to know you. I think you're a pretty cool person.
Oh,
and I don't just say that. I don't just say that. Like if for most of the time, I don't like people. I have different levels of tolerating them, but
Yeah.
I would say I like you. I have no problem with you. I don't, you know, I don't see any sort of moral failing that would cause any God to favor anyone over you.
Oh, that's a nice thing to say.
That's a good thought, Robert. If one of those scumbags ever get ill, don't bring them to the hospital, but just give them a Bible. Let's see how fast they'll shout, "Bring me to a hospital." You know what?
Yeah.
It is kind of fun turning their anti-medicine nonsense against them, especially with anti-vaxxers.
Yeah.
So those, I think, are going to be the reason. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm convinced that anti-vaxxers may end up being the reason behind it if the COVID-19 pandemic does not end, at least not in the United States. I don't know how much of a problem you guys have with them over there, but over here, I mean, it really runs rampant because people are very much about the personal choice and, oh, but it's my child or it's my body. Okay, it's your body, your choice when you don't want to get a vaccine, but it's not a woman's body or a woman's choice when she wants to have an abortion. Don't fucking cherry pick your shit.
Yeah. Well, we're going to touch a little bit on anti-vaxxers and anti-lockdown people tomorrow on the sofa.
I did see that. I'm very much looking forward to that discussion.
Yeah. It's quite interesting here as well.
I believe it. I mean, it's kind of turning into a 3-ring circus from my observation over there. So yes. Welcome to the party.
Yes. Well, yeah, exactly.
I'll be your sponsor, Psychotic Governments Anonymous.
Yeah.
Here's your just for today chip.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous over there, but that's what they do. They have the poker chips and stuff in the 12-step program. Josh never believed in those. He's a recovering heroin addict, actually, and he decided that 12-step programs were not for him, in large part, actually, because of the hyper focus on God and prayer. And I mean, his thinking was, yes, in some ways it is possible to be powerless over your addiction, but isn't the fact that you're getting help showing that you're not completely powerless? Like, that he didn't like the idea that it takes away a lot of the autonomy, and it also decries the use of medication-assisted treatment, when really, if you look at, like, Josh used on methadone, for example. Some people use Suboxone. I don't know what they do for heroin over there, but
yeah, it's the same here.
Yeah, but if you look at medicated assisted treatment for opioid addiction, think of it like someone who requires antidepressants to get through life. Think about it. Someone who needs to take, for example, a Zoloft every day, or I used to be on Remeron or Latuda. I was on. Think of it as like someone who needs a psychotropic. Think of it like someone who needs a blood pressure medication.
Yeah.
Or it's just something to help manage the physical aspect, so that the addict can do a better job focusing on the psychological and emotional aspects of things. It's not trading one addiction for another unless you make it that way.
Okay.
What did you drop?
I threw a spoon.
Why did you throw a spoon?
By accident.
Why did you throw a spoon? What do you even need a spoon for?
Trying to air out my bowl and the spoon flew out of my hand.
What the fuck are you eating? More fucking Cocoa Puffs? I live with a man who believes it to be absolutely vital to always have a stash of snacks near the bed.
Okay.
I like to eat.
And yet you don't gain weight, you lucky bastard. So.
Oh, he will. When he gets to my age.
Honestly, I think he'd welcome that. Did the milk please? Our refrigerator, one of many reasons we're looking to get the hell out of this apartment, our refrigerator is actually a freezer. It freezes everything you put in it.
Nice.
So instead of milk, we now have a
snow.
Well, that's what. Oh my god, it does look like snow. So he was just trying to. He's one of those weirdos who likes to put his cookies in a bowl of milk instead of just dipping them in a glass like most people. Not me. I hate milk. Ew. But yeah, he had a bag of mini Oreos and he put them in a bowl and he tried to pour milk in it and the milk is frozen. Don't ever live in Northeast Philadelphia, folks, if you can avoid it. Or at least make sure you have a decent landlord, because ours is dumb. We are not telling them about recent events, by the way, because we don't trust them not to just throw us out.
Oh, right. Yeah. Anyway, we've been chatting for just over an hour.
Yeah, and we've actually managed to carry this thing ourselves. I'm proud of us.
Yeah, me too. And so I'm going to wrap things up.
Sounds like a plan, and we'll definitely reconvene tomorrow for On the Sofa. I've got my alarm set, even though I do have to sleep for a couple hours when I get home, and I'll probably go back to bed for a little while after that because I have to work normally I have off Thursdays, which is why I agreed to it, but I'm pulling a night shift because yet again we're having staffing issues.
Dear.
Work problems. Oh, it's nothing I'm not used to at this point. And hey, puts more money in my paycheck.
Yeah. So
the key to not going crazy in life is to take what positives you can find in just about anything and clutch onto that motherfucker as hard as you can.
Yes. So yeah, anyway, we've got On the Sofa tomorrow.
Tune in if you know it's good for you.
Yeah. At 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, which I think is 4 p.m. Central. Oh,
5 p.m.
hello,
Eastern.
Purple. You come just in time to see the end.
Purple, we missed it at you.
He's just in time to hear us say goodbye. But there's a double whammy happening tomorrow, as well as On the Sofa. Shortly after On the Sofa, about half an hour after we finish, I'm going to be interviewing Skeptic Skeleton.
Oh, I think I saw that. I may watch, I may be sleeping. If I can watch, I will. If not, then we know where I am. So what's the subject for that? Anything in particular?
It's I have a series, veterans of the show of veterans of my channel, I should say, know that I have a series called Introducing, where I introduce new YouTubers who have fewer than 100 subs. And so Skeptic Skeleton is one such YouTuber who has less than 100 subs, and those first 100 subs are difficult. Are really difficult to get. So and
I think I only have like 5 or 6 myself.
Yeah, I like to help people out if I can. Give them a bit of a boost to get to help them get their first 100 subs. And so every little helps, as it were. So he's a good guy. He's a very interesting guy. So I anticipate a fun, interesting interview. So do tune in if you can. Skeptic Skeleton. So yeah, a double whammy tomorrow. On the Sofa and introducing Skeptic Skeleton.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah. Yeah, Spooky is right, is rightly calling himself
Spooky
a
Skeptic
veteran.
Skeleton.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to. It was there. The door opened, I crashed through like the Kool-Aid Man. I had to. Sorry.
So yeah.
I'm not good for much, but comic relief.
Yeah, and Sienese and I will be back tomorrow with On the Sofa. We'll be talking about all sorts of things. We'll be talking about Meghan and Harry, and there's lots of other news to talk about as well.
Yes, in fact, some recently breaking. I am going to look for that article. I found one on Facebook. I'll see if I can find it again about what Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to pull to stop it, but the stimulus package did pass for our American viewers here. So we do have that going for us, but we will discuss that further.
Cool.
Definitely tomorrow.
Yeah. And so we'll see. We'll say good night for now, and see you all tomorrow.
Yep. Good night. Good night, everybody. Have fun storming the castle.
Bye.